G'day guys, and welcome to a review for Randwick on the, good question, 6th of January. Track ended up a good 3, I believe. The rail was in the true position, and it did look to be, I'm not saying the fence was terrible, but it was definitely not the best ground, I don't think. Probably, 5, 6, 7 off is where the best ground looked to be. Those backing back to the fence did okay later in the day. I think maybe the track dried out a bit more. It was a pretty warm day, but I think at the start of the day, the inside probably not the best place to be. Towards the end of the program, maybe it evened out a little bit. First race of the day, small field over the 1400 metres, really slow tempo. I was surprised that Bowman decided to cross to the fence on Screen Park. He set up a really slow tempo and just got completely out sprinted. The sprint home certainly was in the favour of the winner, who finished over the top of them late. In saying that, they still ran really pretty solid time off a really slow tempo, so the race has definitely got some merit. Island Missile definitely has some merit in its run, did a good job from outside the leader, and the other three were beaten comprehensively, a couple of lengths, but probably just not suited. Barbecue was out the back and not suited by the tempo, doesn't have the turn of the foot of the winner, and Screen Park certainly doesn't. Back up to a mile next start, I believe it goes to New Zealand. That effort on Saturday won't hurt it, and it'll be suited over there. Getting back out in distance, Echo Jet probably towed along by the other horses, probably suited by the slow tempo, and the one that you could be negative about if you wanted to, but it ran last anyway. But beaten 2.2 in the form guide probably looks a little flattering for it. Quick look at the replay. I thought that Bowman had probably let Island Missile kick up inside him so that then he could dictate when the pressure went on. Probably smart by Shin to let him go, and then they've just hacked and sprinted up from the 400, and that's played into the hands of this horse, Aquadavina. Even though she's given him a start, she definitely can, or does have a turn of foot, and definitely can sustain it, which we've seen its last 2 runs. Island Missile every chance, but pretty good. And Barbecue probably the second best run in the race. I think Island Missile will probably peak next start. I don't think this is going to be a bad form race at all, even though it's a 5-horse race. The one I would be a little bit worried about is Echo Jet, who does look to have just been sucked along a bit by the others, and maybe the tempo helped it a bit. Race 2, the 2-year-old, slow time, slow tempo, but slow time. The horse with upside definitely does look to be the winner. I thought the second horse had his chance, and the rest of them were a little bit plain, possibly 3-year-old types, quite a few of them. Not looking to sack them, but definitely not looking to follow them too closely in the oncoming weeks. The winner's the one. If we watch what they do at the start with this horse, obviously drew a little bit awkwardly, but completely dragged out of the gates after jumping close enough. That's an optical illusion, close enough on terms with most of these horses. And you see, not only just allowed to let these horses go in front, physically restrained back to the tail of the field. I'd never liked seeing that. And a slow tempo, definitely not ideal, but probably played into the hands of this horse, who does look to have a nice turn of foot. Did show a turn of foot its first start, but knocked up considerably there. This time able to sustain that finish to the line, got the right toe up that it obviously likes to get. That drag up exposed, shows the turn of foot, and too good. Iwazi was held up in here and cluttered a bit and does a few things wrong, probably can improve. But Ligulet definitely, I thought, had its chance, beats the rest of them comprehensively, but it is quite a weak race, so I'd be very careful about this horse next start backing it. And I'd be careful about most of these runners unless they were going back in grade. This horse here wasn't a bad run, Man of Envy, especially if it drops back to its trained at Gosford, sort of provincial level. Sat wide, no cover throughout here. Lost the turn a bit and got out sprinted a touch, but really did kind of find its legs a bit late. If it dropped back in grade and went up to say 1400 metres, it could be an interesting horse. Not much more to say about that race. You can't knock the winner. It was given a bit of a funny ride and still way too strong for them, even though it was a weak race. Race 3, solid enough tempo, time average. Pretty much, what you see is what you get here. Winner first up, good training performance, well ridden. Second horse I thought should have won the race, just might have gone a touch early and rolled back to the fence. Could have kept the winner in a pocket and could have put the race away. Swaloo, not a bad effort up to this grade for the first time. Fanning, that's as good as he can possibly go, and Gretna wasn't bad first up. Something happened to the Pharaoh. It was too bad to be true. I'd be fairly forgiving of it. Fanning, similarly to the last one's restrained out of the race, but this is see what I mean. Like this is the sort of ride that annoys me as a punter. Jumps completely on terms with them. No reason to dig the horse, but if he's allowed stride somewhere, he's sitting here wide, not 3 lengths further, 4 lengths further back and wide. Fortensky, every possible chance. Viceroy outside it, every chance basically, and could have got to the better ground, I thought. They're the main two in the race. Swaloo back here on the back of Fanning has the nice turn of foot, but just has too big a job. This is my little critique of this ride here. You can see that Ty's travelling quite strongly still. He's got this horse not taking him into the race, which is a nightmare for the horse chasing it. You always want this horse to take you as far as possible. He's left in front, but I thought he could have allowed the horse to sort of travel for quite a bit further rather than go for him, and giving him the hit with the left hands forced him back towards the inside rather than keeping him travelling for that little bit longer, and then staying in the better ground and could have held the runners. I thought it was a bit of a mistake, not a massive one, but I just thought it did cost the horse the race. Fortensky well presented, well handled first up. As you said, Swaloo's put in a good effort this time, first time at the grades, good effort. I think that's as good as Fanning goes, and Gretna can obviously improve first up. Hillary Step, I think, needs to go back in grade and lead. Centro Superior can't knock its effort first up, and the Pharaoh obviously takes a bit of merit out of the race where he's failed, sort of 20% of the market's failed, and that's about all you can do with him. Just probably forgive him. His effort was too bad to be true. Race 4, an amazing go for this Awesome Pluck. He's shown some incredibly bad characteristics from a horse, and for a horse like that to be so heavily backed on a Saturday, obviously only in highway grade, but still, you know, like everyone's watching, was quite incredible. He's got some really big, hard-going issues. He gets his head up. He can do a lot of things wrong. His trial didn't look to be that good to the eye. 1,300 metres looked to be a massive query, and for whatever reason he was heavily backed. I think the winner got out sort of somewhere near $9 on Betfair late, which was kind of strange. Obviously a very small horse, but still I thought the gap was quite crazy. Easy to say now, but did kind of feel that way before the race and did express it also. When this horse, Runway Ready, was in front of Awesome Pluck in the run, you were extremely confident about its chances. It was never going to come from behind, you wouldn't have thought, and then we can see how hard going this horse is. Like, Bowman's tried to settle him as well as possible. There's not many people getting a horse settled better than Bowman, and he allows the horse to stride, which is all he could possibly do, rather than just pull itself into the ground. The tempo wasn't really crazy. It was only just solid, and Runway Ready obviously gets the right run behind him. I didn't mind the run of this horse here. Mr. Marmalade, thought his effort was good coming back from a spell. Matthew Dunn was very good at selecting the right horses to bring for these races, and this horse coming off a really soft win over 1300 or 1350 or whatever it was last start at Ipswich, really put it in good stead here, and it was strong right to the line, which most of his runners are, which is why they're so good in this grade. Going through the grades, they're always strong late in their races, and well prepared, well placed. Lord, he's honest. That's as good as he goes. This is probably the only other horse really to follow with any conviction out of the race at this stage. The Frick probably needs more racing, but Mr. Marmalade looks to have come back well and can be watched. Probably, maybe still needs one more, but it can be watched. And the winner can win a similar race, no doubt about that. Funny ride this on positive problems. It went out well too hard last start at Gosford and got tired late, but this time didn't go out as hard, it looks, and even though it still did go out quite quickly, and just dragged the sprint out of the horses. So whereas last start you probably only had Sedanza and Pecan showed that it could run out the strong mile, this race again there were horses that just probably a mile looked to top them off, and then you had the stayers, more energy in Gambletown to a lesser degree, a horse that was going to appreciate the mile that was suited by the tactics. Strange to see this horse actively ridden out of the gates when it looked the only clear leader on paper. It's strange here, like just pure intent to run these horses into the ground, it looks like. Just high balls the whole way, puts a gap on them again here, sets the horse at task, but doesn't completely burn the horse. You see that it's getting tired here, but the horses behind are tired from chasing just simply because of their distance queries themselves. Gambletown obviously takes a bit to wind up. More energy will keep going at the right speed, and Sellerman just struggled to run this mile out from its position. So Gambletown obviously wins in another stride. Medal had every conceivable hope and was unlucky to be beaten as well. He's done a good job to pinch the race, basically, Declan, and good luck to him, but it's not a race I really can get too excited about. The time was pretty average, and if Gambletown had won, I would have been labelling it a complete flattered performance and a horse to be around next start, but I'd be not extremely confident. I think probably Medal can improve off that, but definitely needs to. I think that run will probably be exaggerated, if anything, beaten at such a narrow margin. Same with Gambletown. I'll be very wary of them wherever they go next start, because they definitely had conditions to suit, and the winner's obviously racing well, but he's still always priced in the market off his pace. So he's not one that I'd really want to knock, even though he's just fallen in. Medal did the chasing. Gambletown's definitely the one that was the most flattered runner in the race, and I'd be expecting, I wouldn't be thinking Sellerman and Careless Choice would be seen far beyond a mile ever again. Even though it was a mile today, I don't think they'll be stepping up in trip. Race 6, fast tempo here. Baradu wins the race. Just looking at their setups, he had only the one run under his belt, in a nice enough race behind Prince Famous. Ran 5th there. This was probably a slightly easier race than that, if anything. Not much in it, but he's improved, got the right run, and holds off the fast finishing Loverboy Charlie, who looked desperately unlucky. My Maha looks like it just purely knocked up. When looking the winner, Fickle Folly does his best, as he always does. Solid effort. Guard of Honour, I think that's about as well as he goes. He's a bit of a funny horse, and not much excuse for the ones behind. Don't tease me. Just gassed herself a little bit and didn't finish the race off. Interesting to see that the last, these three basically run, well, they run 1, 2, 4. Who runs third? Fickle Folly, who's up 3 wide outside him. So again, a case to say that Fickle Folly was probably the run of the race here, and he's probably the most honest horse in the race. But you see that Loverboy Charlie gets held up in here. If it gets to the outside, I've got no doubt it wins. My Maha runs up to win and knocks up. The betting there would have been fairly short. My Maha, I'd imagine, and Baradu's just too strong late. My Maha just looks like she's just dead set knocked up, and Loverboy Charlie squeezed along the fence late to be beaten narrowly. No doubt that this horse should have won. Gets to the outside, it wins. My Maha can improve fitness wise. I think Fickle Folly is definitely in good enough condition to win a race, and Guard of Honour I'd be betting around. In all honesty, I think he's a very hard horse to place now, but 1,000 metres is definitely his go. Race 7, pretty vocal about Science Fury's chances. Unfortunately missed the price. By the time it came out at 9 o'clock on race day, it's well and truly the class runner of this race. Had the nice rider switch that we sort of mentioned, looked to get tempo, but even better when than expected. They actually went a bit quicker than expected here, and that really brought the two back markers, Queen Misty and Siren's Fury, into the race. Time's okay, everything was expected. They came down the middle of the track. There's not much to be said about this race, I don't think. Probably the horse that was most disappointing is Overstep. Had things to suit it and really struggled to find the line. Live to Dream, excuses, Wang Wai doesn't look to be really racing with the zest that she did, but obviously probably wants a bit more ground as well these days that she showed last preparation. But Live to Dream puts the pressure on. At this stage you're happy to be on. Siren's Fury sort of right in a midfield position here. It looked like, these were the horses you were going to be wanted to be on, not these, after they'd set such a solid tempo, and it definitely was the track was receiving horses down the middle here today, this day. Thought he looked a little bit disappointing to the eye, Siren's Fury. Every possible chance. Queen Misty looked to have him cold, and she's just forgotten how to win a little bit, and he's just a little bit too tough for her late. He's a line finder. Obviously the riding change helped him, and that was his right race. I don't want to be too negative on anything. As I said, probably Overstep's the one horse that I'd be avoiding, but that Waller stable, they can improve quickly, so always check betting. A pretty non-eventful race anyway. Race 7, race 8, fast tempo, good time. I think the race was won for Lanciato when Ray Gins gets over racing and pulls around the leaders and puts the tempo right on. The run fast time here, which we know this horse is capable of, especially on top of the ground. And he's just ripped home from the back. I think that the tactics were pretty solid from Shin here to want to find a position on Noir. Did look a bit ugly, the map, if he wasn't positive early. He was positive, found the position. It looked like there was every chance that Coolring would set a slow tempo, and I think Noir wins the race if that's the case. Unfortunately, Ray Jing's got over racing, comes out, puts tempo on, sets the race up for Lanciato. Noir was left a little bit of a sitting shot after taking the punt early to race in a more forward position. So we're just showing that, what we're just talking about. You see that Shin's quite positive on Noir to cross these horses here, which is quite important to her chances. I thought it was. I was surprised they were a bit aggressive on Ray Gins, because it looked like it would hold a position naturally on the back of Coolring. Even if it was 3-back defence, that didn't seem a big drama. And it gets over racing terribly here, pulls around them and puts the tempo on. At this stage you're happy to be on Lanciato. It's ended up on the back of Noir. Sorry, it's not, so it's out the back last, pardon me. But bunching because of this the fast tempo here, and getting to the better part where I think the better part of the track was, much closer to Noir than I expected it to, running home in much slower figures than I expected them to. So that's kind of how Lanciato's won the race. I think it has been well prepared and run very well. Obviously gapped those behind and strong through the line, had control of the race, sort of 100, 150 out, which is a good effort from that far back in the field. He's a nice horse, and he's obviously going extra well. Didn't win the run of this show a star first start for the Beyond Baker Yard. It was the closest horse in the run. Covered a bit of ground in running as well. Get on the Granges, run well. Obviously a stayer that was suited by fast tempo, but still seems to be in as good a form as ever, and can run very well when it gets up in trip. Savaro probably the horse to forget from that race, and probably Coolring's not going that great either, even though he's taken on. I just not too excited about the way he's going. Last race was a pretty basic race. Slow tempo, slow time. They came home okay, but still overall the time was quite average. Malaysia does a good job to win from back in the field. Level 8, Sammed Out, Pipeline, they've all absolutely had their chances in the run. And this horse has been set a task and overcome it. Can't knock Malaysia obviously on that basis, but definitely can be pretty savage to probably level 8, who will never get a better chance to win a race on a Saturday, I wouldn't imagine. Looms up to him, takes forever to do anything, gets to the front and nabbed from a horse from back behind it. Sammed Out, obviously a wet tracker, set a solid, the slow tempo kicked away. I think it's just a wet track only type, but I'm happy to risk it on top of the ground. Definitely had its chance, and Pipeline was a funny run where it looked beaten, was going to tail off, and then all of a sudden Came again last 100 metres. I understand he's going for a break anyway, so interesting to see what they do with him next prep, because he does look like he's coming again on the line here, like he wants more ground. So maybe he's one for the future over a bit more ground, but a long way from worrying about that. Okay, have a quick look at Canterbury while we're here. First race of the day, nothing happened there. Wooshka led all the way, slow tempo, zipped home. I think it's a nice enough horse. This horse, Al Mahaha's interesting. They ran fast time off a slowish pace, and you can see this horse is quite keen in the run and gets over racing. Good ride from Abdullah to get off the fence and get into open ground. That was definitely the winning move. You can see here that it's pulling its sort of way into the ground. Gets around and out sprints them. Definitely sort of outrode Shin a little bit here, but this horse had a lot of race fitness and things on its side compared to Al Mahaha here, and apart from the ride that it obviously got, but it was left too late to try and come around at the heels of a horse with this sort of quality. I don't reckon this will be a bad form race. This horse is a bit of a nightmare with him getting his head up. He's had his chance in the run. Ruga Rosa, there's probably a race in him too in the not too distant future. Bit of a nightmare, but this horse is a nice horse that can step up in grade. It did things wrong there. It does need to learn to settle to go through the grades. If he can do that, he's definitely dangerous. Race 3, Whiskey Shooter Knuckles at the start, which I don't know if everyone picked up. Watching at the start, just watching it. Goes right down on its nose there. That was its white cap. If you're watching 3 off the fence, boom, headbutts the ground. Probably expected her to race much closer to the speed, so her effort is really good to win this race. Unfortunately, it's quite a poor race figures-wise, so not super excited about following her wherever she goes, but she's definitely a trier that overcame difficulties here and had its chance to turn it up and still stuck her nose out. Even when Mystique gets the gap here, it's had the softer run, probably a little bit unlucky to lose the race, but she definitely had a chance to turn it up if it was in her makeup, and stuck her nose right out and probably pulling away if anything on the line. So no knock on her. The second horse, Jury's Out, did a lot of things right there, but in a poor race. The ones behind, not too excited about. Overa was a little bit unlucky in the run, and so was Now or Never. Slightly forgiving of those two. The rest need to improve. Race 4, not worth talking about. Race 5, not really worth talking about. Obviously, the favourite was knocked out of the race. I'd be pretty negative towards the winner wherever it went next start. With a last start City win on its name, to its credit, got pace to suit it, knocked the favourite out of the race, and beat a horse who definitely had to work and was weakening late. So flattered performance from the winner. Lake Lugano was just way too good for the rest of the field here. Led, controlled at an even tempo and kicked away. I think Miss Liffey needs to go back in distance from looking at that, and I didn't mind the runner Moccasin Miss having to go back and come wide. This horse draws a gate and ends up sort of 1-1 in a softer race than this. It definitely can do some damage. Race 7 was another race that wasn't too exciting. Satirical Magic was just too good for them. Lost the turn a bit and forced to cover more ground than anything in the race. Turning for home and picked them up. Pianissimo had its chance. Naval Joey had its chance. Coolcraft got up the fence and had its chance. Not a bad run from Lofty's Menu, and Ever So Natural was a bit of a funny ride. Kicked up in the guts there during the mid and got pulling. Definitely needs to be ridden cold and come with one run at them. The last wasn't a bad race. They ran a sort of decent enough time off an even tempo. No knock on the winner. Had its chance though in the run. Lord Macau was given its chance. High Opinions definitely ready to win. It was the best run in the race. The Gavel was okay from the right spot. The Hittite can be forgiven a little bit. Have its first run at 1900. Next start's D-Day for it, and the rest I was sort of just jury's out on them. I think they're sort of 4 of your first 5 are the ones that are all going well enough to win a race. Their next start, I'm not sure where Lord Macau's going to find that extra length from. I think that was its chance. Probably it's the one that was very well placed on the night and raced well, got everything go its way. So for me, High Opinion's the one to follow next start in a similar race. So that was a quick look at those two meetings. Hopefully picked up a few things there and can continue on with these reviews now, I'm going to have a look at doing a provincial country review on a week-to-week basis. That'll probably start over the next a week or so. Just this week, Magic Millions week's quite hectic, so we'll probably just concentrate on getting some good quality information out for those races and see how we go. Thanks, guys.